Round 3, race 2 of the weekend for the ADAC GT Masters. Good afternoon. Welcome to a very hot and sweaty Lausitzring under the blue skies here in Klettwitz in the state of Brandenburg in East Germany. We are getting ready for the second of 4 endurance races for the League of Super Sports Cars in their 20th season. They are enjoying, and we are enjoying, temperatures knocking on the door of 30 degrees centigrade, a track temperature of somewhere near 40 degrees centigrade. It's all about endurance this weekend, not just about the length of the race, but the drivers in that hot car, looking after the tyres, looking after the brakes, looking after themselves, keeping the concentration as the sun beats down. Yesterday, we saw the Holzem twins, Sandro and Giuliano, taking their first ever win in the ADAC GT Masters. What a great battle that was. Tim Zimmermann and Leighton Furey, continuing their run of good form, came home in second place, and it was the first podium of the season for Emil Yerdrum and Max Rice. It meant that Felix Herziger and Finn Zulauf, with their championship leads, saw it reduced to just 9 points. Leighton Furey, Tim Zimmermann and Sandro Holzem and Giuliano Holzem are closing in on the championship leaders. The gap between first and second, between Herziger and Zulauf, Furey and Zimmermann, is just 9 points. The Holzem's 27 points back in third place as we head towards the halfway point of the season. It's still anybody's guess who is going to win the championship, who is going to win the road to DTM. It means an awful lot. We've just had a DTM race and we've seen Finn Wiebelhaus finish on the podium. He won the GT Masters Championship last year and won the road to DTM. You just briefly seen a shot of the Audi, the number 77 HGL Racing Audi. Simon Cotter-Prim proving there is life in the old dog yet. Not him, the Audi, because he has put it on pole position for this race. As we look again at those points standings, what a stunning job he did in qualifying this morning. His second ever pole position. He's only won one race so far in ADAC GT Masters. That was last year at Zandvoort, but he will have an empty track in front of him, although yesterday's second place finisher Leighton Furey from South Africa, he would have seen his fellow countryman Keegan Masters winning in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland this morning, and will no doubt be inspired and would love to hear the South African national anthem echoing out around the Lausitzring once again today. Third on the grid for this race will be Finn Zulauf, the championship leader, along with Felix Herziger. But there's an awful lot to come here. There is going to be 80 minutes of racing with 2 mandatory pit stops, 2 driver changes, tyre changes, refueling, you name it. All sorts is going to be happening during this race. It is going to be a real challenge. I'm sat up here in a commentary box and I'm cooking and I'm sweating. I'm not the one sat behind the wheel of one of these cars where temperatures are likely to be above 60 degrees centigrade. Alongside me in this sweaty commentary box, once again, I'd like to say a very good afternoon to Chris Hartley.
Well, you do paint an attractive picture of
the
commentary box. It's lovely in here. It's beautiful. It's air conditioned.
Oh yes,
smell of aftershave.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody. We can't complain, right? Because Tim Zimmermann said to me yesterday, the alarm went off in the car on Friday during free practice because it was over 70 degrees in the cockpit of the car. So, and they do not have any drinks bottles, these drivers. And if you're doing the middle stint of this race, it is a long old stint. Theoretically, it could be up to almost 50 minutes long, that middle stint. On which note, the 2 that opted to do the short stop yesterday, because you have to change tyres in only one of the 2 stops, they reckon they've got tyres which have done 30 or 40 kilometres less than the others. And they are the Holzem twins in their number 56 Schubert BMW and the number 1 Mustang of Emil Yerdrum and Max Rice, because if you add the first and third stint times together, it's actually a lot shorter than that long middle stint. So they're feeling in pretty confident form. But it was oh so close in qualifying, wasn't it? 0.3 of a second covering the top 9 cars, 59 thousandths of a second covering the top 2, and that is not even the closest gap we've had between the top 2 in qualifying this year. 20 thousandths of a second between the top 2 in qualifying at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, every tenth of a second counts here at the Lausitzring, a circuit that's about 3.478 kilometers around, with 12 turns, 7 to the left and 5 to the right, running in an anti-clockwise direction using sections of the tri-oval, that big wide tri-oval that was originally built in the year 2000 when the IndyCar came here for their race. It is Simon Conor Prim on pole position for the second time in his GT Masters career. Leighton Fury, though, in that BMW, has been very quick, but will be carrying an extra 10 kilos of success ballast. Finn Zulauf, championship leader, is third. Leo Pickler, the car stopped when there was such a strong position yesterday. Want to make amends for that. Pavel Lefterov will be fearsome from P5 on the grid, and Nicholas Callas found the wall yesterday. Will want to put the memories of that behind him, starting from 6th on the grid. Yesterday's third place finisher, Emil Yerdrum, with a little bit of extra ballast, 5 kilograms, has yesterday's winner, Giuliano Holzem, with an extra 20 kilos of success ballast on board. Alan Valente still getting used to the BMW, has Fabio Rao for company. Fabio with a grid drop for impeding in qualifying. Jamie Day from the UK has Jonas Karklis alongside him. And then all the way from Singapore, Ethan Brown, the Singaporean, learning this circuit very rapidly as he lines up towards the back of the pack. Right, well, there's something just flying up in the air there. Did that come off the safety car?
Yeah, it did.
The safety car shedding pieces. I don't think we're going to need a full course yellow to get that moved, because the cars are now lined up. We are getting ready to head towards the halfway point of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. Race 6 of a 12-race season in 2026 is about to commence. The cars look majestic in the sunshine as we wait for that green light to come on, and we are racing. The Audi and the BMW racing towards turn 1, going high. Simon Conor Prim, but Leighton Fury sees the opportunity into that tight left-hander. The car's going 2-3 abreast down that little hill. A bit of dirt rising up into the air as the cars just go very wide towards the edge of the track, but everybody's made it around the first couple of turns. Alan Valente in the green and yellow BMW on the wide outside. We're riding on board with Jamie Day here at the moment. This opening lap, a good opportunity to gain places, a good opportunity to throw it all away at the moment. Simon Conor Prim would dearly love to his tally of 1 race win, but he's got Leighton Fury behind him, who will be putting all the pressure on early on, because an open track in front would allow you to have clean, cool air running into the front grille of that car. At the moment, it's Simon Conor Prim who has the luxury of that as they head in towards turn 8. There's a brave marshal who goes to get what has fallen off the safety car. Looks like remnants of somebody's tyre to me, but hey. In third place, that's Leo Pickler, who's made his way up through the packs. Finn Zulauf, championship leader, has dropped down to 4th place. Now look at this, Pickler putting the pressure on for 2nd place. So Leighton Fury, far from challenging Simon Conor Prim for the lead, is currently having to defend hard for that 2nd place. Leo Pickler looked so quick yesterday, was really disappointed when the car stopped in the pit lane, and now wants to make amends.
Side by side for 4th into turn 1 at the start of lap 2 as well, with Zulauf and Yerdrum going side by side. Emil Yerdrum just having to concede or hold off at that position to the Lamborghini driver Finn Zulauf, who is leading the championship with his teammates, last year's Ferrari Challenge Europe champion Felix Herzinger, making his debut this season, full-time debut of the championship, as guested before. So clean first lap. Simon Conor Prim, 0.6 of a second clear at the end of that first lap from Leighton Fury, who's 2nd in the championship in that orange and black FK Performance BMW, runner-up in last year's championship. He said yesterday the maximum we could get with the car with the success ballast on was 2nd, so they were happy with that. Got a win at Zandvoort last time out, and they're closing the gap now to just single point figures to the Lamborghini pairing. Just behind is the 2nd of those Porsches, the blue and white car of Pavel Lefterov, threatening that Mustang of Emil Yerdrum, who drove an excellent long stint in the middle of the race yesterday on all tyres to keep for lap after lap after lap Leighton Fury behind him. So whoever started the race yesterday, it's the opposite way around this time. The other driver qualifies, the other driver starts. So if you're starting now, you'll do the 3rd stint, and the longer middle stint will go to the drivers in the pits. We get a replay here from the grandstand position. And we had 58,000 spectators here this weekend watching the action. An immense crowd, hasn't it?
Yeah, the wise ones are in that grandstand where there's a little bit of a breeze and a little bit of shade, and they get a great perspective. You could see that Simon Conor Prim was trying trying to close the door on Leighton Fury, goes wide into that turn one. Fury saw the opportunity on the inside, but Simon Conoprim had that faster line through turn one. So this is the view on board with Jamie Day. To remind you, this is an 80-minute race. There will be 2 mandatory pit stops. So the driver that's in the seat at the moment, it really was getting up close and personal in turn one, wasn't it? The driver that's in the seat at the moment will do stints 1 and 3. Their co-driver will do stint 2. The pit window, the first pit window, will open when we hit the 15th minute. So that's when it's 65 minutes to go on the clock. The second pit window will open in the 55th minute when there are 25 minutes to go, as we see Alan Valente having a little look to the inside of Jonas Karklees, yesterday's winner, in the background. Juliano Holzem trying to move his way back through the pack. Nicholas Callas will be mindful of the fact that he encountered the wall yesterday, would not want to do that again. The 2 BMWs get together. I think Holzem saying, come on, get out of the way, I want to come through. Onto the tri-oval they come once again, go quite deep, taking a different line. Out of turn 12, out along past the pits we will come once again. Now will Holzem make a challenge? In the background is the big Mustang of Nicholas Callas as well. Looks to the inside, Holzem under braking. Alan Valente has to relinquish that position and is now falling into the clutches of Nicholas Callas. Callas to the outside of Valente and takes that position away. Ethan Brown, who has been making rapid progress as he learns the ropes in GT Masters, is up with that battle as well, so a sterling job from him. So mentioning the pit stops, the drivers must take a long stop and a short stop. It's up to the drivers and the teams to decide whether the first stop is their long one or whether the first stop is their short one. In the long stop, they will need to have a tyre change as well as refueling. The short stop, no tyre changes, and they are allowed to refuel in the short stop as well. There is a minimum pit stop time, so if they choose to take their long stop, the minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit is 100 seconds, not 100 minutes. And the short stop, minimum pit stop time is 80 seconds. And now, as we look at Emil Yerdrum challenging for third place from Leo Pickler.
Yeah, that's because while we were looking at the replays of the start, Emil in that Mustang managed to find a way past the championship leader, Finn Zulauf, in the Lamborghini. We've also had Jamie Day in the Aston Martin get out to 8th ahead of Jonas Karklees. Here we go then, and the Mustang on the outside line here. This is going to be a brave move from Emil Yerdrum. Fantastic, all the way around the outside, put 2 wheels on the grass, but he was committed to the move. And the Norwegian gets another place here. So he was a star driver looking after the tyres with consistent times in the middle stint yesterday. He's able to unleash himself and really go for it in this opening stint. And he's found himself now up into 3rd place. Got his first podium since Zandvoort last year, and his first podium in the Mustang with his new teammate this year, Max Rice, who picked up his 4th podium yesterday. They really needed that because they had a difficult start to the season with some bad luck along the way, some contact in the early rounds that put them out of the championship front-running positions, but they're starting to make up ground now. If they get another podium here, they'll be grateful. And Emil said to me earlier, look, we've had 2 podiums, the last 2 races. We've had a Yerdrum on the podium each time because his younger brother Storm got onto the podium at Zandvoort. That's the car there of the FK Performance BMW crew, the orange and blue BMW. Storm Yerdrum is the co-driver of that. He's going to be in for the middle stint. Fabio Rauer is his teammate, and Fabio did qualify up onto the 4th row of the grid, but in qualifying he then got a 3-place grid penalty for impeding another driver, so had to come from 11th on the grid. Somebody else that's looking like he's making good progress though is that maroon Ford Mustang of Nicholas Callas. His teammate yesterday saying that when he went off into the wall on the exit to turn 5, they had an issue with the traction control, which is why Nicholas lost it. He almost loses it here though. Brian deep under braking. He's going to lose out to the Lambo.
Yes, that was a wild moment there. So Valente through, also Ethan Brown. Another good job from him up into 12th place. Further ahead, we just saw Finn Zulauf, championship leader in Razzoon More Than Racing Sandwich. Tasty, but that is 5th place. Pavel Lefterov in 6th behind. Leo Pickler in 4th ahead of him. So the championship leaders caught up in the traffic at the moment. Meanwhile, the fastest car on the track is 8th place, Jamie Day. We saw how quick the Aston Martin can be. We saw it in the hands of Nicky Tim in the preceding DTM race. And Jamie Day, well, we know how quick he is, but the fastest man on the track pushing his way forwards.
Yeah, he's been a class champion in GT4 racing in the British GT Championship, Jamie Day. British driver based in the UAE. That is a replay then of that just missed braking point for the Mustang driver, Nicholas Callas, costing him 2 places and probably losing about 2 seconds. But he did manage to react in time to avoid going into the back of that Lamborghini, but then lost out to the BMW and the other Lamborghini. So made a couple of places up at the start, but gone backwards a little bit now as we get a replay. And there was the smoking brakes and the tyres that Pirelli's being dragged screaming across the tarmac. But at least he got through the corner. Right, we've got Simon Conner-Prim in the Audi, 3.4 seconds clear of Leighton Fury. So Simon did a fantastic job here in that Audi, with Emil Yerdrum was he 2.5 seconds behind. The fastest lap of the race has gone to the race leader. He, on the last lap, was nearly 6/10 quicker than Fury in second, and Fury in turn was about 4/10 quicker. No, more than that, he was 1.4 seconds quicker than Emil Yerdrum. And Emil had that overtaking, I suppose, to get done.
So Leighton Fury, remember, carrying extra success ballast, an extra 10 kilos on board that BMW. Right, we are just a fraction over 5 minutes away from the first pit window opening, so there's going to be a lot of strategy coming into play. The window will be open for 10 minutes, and within that 10 minutes, every car will need to come in for that stop and driver change. At the moment, there seems to be, well, quite a big queue of cars as Emil Yerdrum, Leo Pickler, Finn Zulaf, Pavel Lefterov, Fabio Rauer and Jamie Day. Then a bit of a gap back to yesterday's winner, at just under 4.5 seconds back to Giuliano Holzem, Jonas Karklees, Alan Valente, Ethan Brown, Nicholas Callas with it all to do. There's confirmation that the pit window is incoming in a little over 5 minutes. The cars look spectacular here in the sunshine as they race past the home state grandstand.
Simon Conner-Prim with another fastest lap of the race in the Audi. He's just done a 1:21.723, so another half a second quicker than Leighton Fury. So that's 1.3 seconds he's gained in the last 2 laps alone, giving his teammate as much advantage as he can when they get to that first round of pit stops. Well, they'll swap drivers for the first time. As you say, though, Leighton Fury has got, for finishing second yesterday, 10 kilograms of success ballast on board, 20 kilograms on for the Holzem's BMW. That's for their race win yesterday, so it's going to be harder for them to succeed today. And for finishing third yesterday, the car you're looking at, the Mustang, now driven by Emil Yerdrum, that's got an extra 5 kilograms of success ballast on board. I spoke to Giuliano Holzem this morning. He and his brother getting their first ever win in GT Masters yesterday. I said, right, yesterday, how was it? And he just had this huge smile on his face. And he said, yesterday was good. He said, but the middle stint was long. He said, I got onto my engineer and he said, are we there yet? Has it finished yet? Because it was tough, that long middle stint for the drivers.
Yeah, I saw them late last night and they were beaming as they were walking back to their car, both of the Holzem twins. Really good to see. They've been around for a while, and this win has been a long time coming. It was always going to happen sometime soon, and it was here at the Lausitzring yesterday where it happened. Jamie Day continuing to look racy in 8th place at the moment. Fabio Rauer up ahead of him. Feeling that Jamie Day might be thinking about making a challenge before too long. There's 2nd place coming through your picture. Leighton Fury, well clear of Emil Yerdrum at the moment. And again, the drivers having to think long and hard, looking after tyres with the limited number of tyres available, deciding when to put the best rubber on, whether it will be the first, second or third stint. Emil Yerdrum said to me yesterday he actually prefers racing on older rubber here at the Lausitzring because it makes the car more predictable, and he certainly did a great job yesterday in the middle stint, just manhandling that car, the #1 Ford Mustang, around. And at the moment, holding on to a podium position. But Leo Pickler, who looked so quick yesterday, but for that issue, along with Colin Berninghausen, we saw the car come to a stop on the entrance to the pits, and resulted in 0 points for them. Looking to make amends for that. Would love to get on the podium here at the Lausitzring. We are 2.5 minutes away from the pit window opening.
Well, at the moment, Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman are second. That would give them 20 points. I know there's a long way to go in the race. But the championship leaders, Finn Zulaf and Felix Herzinger, are fifth. That would give them 11 points. It's a 9-point difference. There's 9 between them before the start of the race. So as it stands, they would be dead level in the championship, both on 110 points. Herzinger and Zulaf would keep it at the moment because they've had 2 wins to the 1 of the BMW pairing. But it's shown what a great fight this is going to be, isn't it? And it really has mixed things up here at the Lausitzring. The BMWs were a bit uncompetitive in the season opener at the Red Bull, probably unexpectedly so. But at Zandvoort, they came alive. They were pretty evenly matched with the Lamborghinis over the course of the weekend. And here they've had a very solid weekend as well to get themselves right back into the fight. Because remember, this is already, after this race, we're halfway into the championship. 6 races done, 6 to go.
I think Finn Zulauf is doing the calculations as well in his head, because he is now started to turn the heat up on 4th place Leo Pickler. That would allow them to maintain that championship lead if he were able to get past and the race finished and the positions they were in now. Of course, we've got an awful long way to go, but Finn Zulauf, the number 63 car, along with Felix Hersiger, looked like at the start of the season they were going to be running away with the championship, but have not had as much success in the last couple of races. Having said that, their lowest finish has still been a 4th place, 2 4th places. So if that's a bad day, well, we know what a good day looks like, because they've also had a couple of wins, throwing a 3rd place. That is why they lead the championship, currently fighting to try and head towards the podium. The pit window is incoming in about 50 seconds.
Still pushing hard. Simon Conor Prim, a bit slower on that lap, 1:22.034, still quicker than everybody else. Personal best lap for Leighton Fury in second with a 1:22.1 dead, a 1:22.2 for Emil Yerdrum, also his best lap of the session so far. Getting a replay of Nicholas Callas with another lockup. Struggling with those tyres, isn't he, at this stage? So it wouldn't be a massive surprise, would it, if they had the long pit stop and got rid of those tyres for the next phase of the race.
Whatever the reason was for him collecting the wall, it was really hard yesterday at a turn 5. We see a bit of debris out on the track. Does that come from him? Whatever the reason was, that has got to shake your confidence when the team have had to do quite a big job to get the car back together again, and you find out how hard that concrete wall is. And I think Nicholas Callas probably not enjoying the Lausitzring as much as he has some of the other circuits this year. Along with Keanu Blum, they've had a couple of podiums already, one at the Red Bull Ring and one at Zandvoort. Right into the pits. Pit window is opening, so Leo Pickler, the first to blink. Also coming in, Fabio Rauer. So Pickler will be handing over to Colin Berninghausen. Fabio Rauer will be handing over to Storm Yerdrum. Into the pit lane they come, so the clock will be ticking. We're going to be looking to see whether they choose to take their long stop or their short stop. Remember, the long stop will need to be a minimum of 100 seconds, and they will do a tyre change. If they choose to take the pain early, that's what it will be. Most of the teams, all bar 2 yesterday, chose to take the long stop first. They have to get the refueling rig out of the way before they can do a tyre change. Right, well, we can see car 10 is going to have a tyre change because they're standing by with the wheel gun. Limited number of mechanics allowed to work on the car at any one time. They're not allowed to descend on it like flies, just 2 mechanics doing the wheel changes. They've got plenty of time at the moment with that 100 seconds ticking down. And so Fabio Rauer gets out of the car, and then because there aren't loads of mechanics allowed to work, he helps Storm Yerdrum to get in. Storm will have his own seat insert. They'll get buckled up, plugged in, strapped in, everything done. He'll wish him good luck, walk away from the car, which is what he's done now. So it's also a long stop for Leo Pickler, handing over to Colin Berninghausen. So again, getting rid of the pain early. They know that their second stop, kick the tyre out of the way, make sure there's no debris in the radiator at the front. They know that their second stop will be short, so that may well give them a track advantage in the latter part of this race. Now waiting for the clock to tick down. They'll want to hit the white line or the exit of the pits when the clock strikes 0, but they must not go below that. Right, in also comes Jonas Karklees, getting ready to hand over to John Paul Southern.
Yeah, so it's for a long stop, 1 minute and 40 seconds, 100 seconds, get as close to that as you can. So long stop so far then for the 2 that have come in, and we'll see whether this is going to be a tyre change or not, or a long or a short stop. So yeah, some very good stops yesterday, wasn't there, from Schubert, which helped the Hosms to their win. They lost 0.3 of a second, that's all, in their first pit stop compared to the minimum stop time, and the same again in the second stop, so it's exceptional. This is going to be a long stop, isn't it? So the tyres being readied, and they're going long as well, which is what all but 2 of the teams did yesterday. They did this. But the 2 teams that went for the short pit stop, both ended up on the podium. So you might think, well, why don't we try that this time?
Yeah, and it might be that teams will try an alternative strategy. Well, these three that we've seen so far haven't. You also saw there as second place comes in now. So Leighton Furry coming in to hand over to Tim Zimmerman. This is very significant in terms of the podium. You'll see when the refueler is there, there is a man with a fire extinguisher poised and ready. That is decreed. That must be the case. We saw quite a big fuel fire on the Finn Bieberhaus car last year at the Nürburgring, but it's all really well taken care of. Safety is absolutely everything here, and that is why you have the fire extinguisher man who's allowed into the pit lane as well. Right, keeping to the speed limit. In comes Leighton Furry quite late in the pit lane, right towards the end. So here comes the fuel. There's the man with the fire extinguisher. Looks like they're going to have tyre changes as well. You can see the team there poised with the slicks, looking fairly used, those slicks. Not that I could recognise that. Also in is Pavel Lefterov, getting ready to hand over to Mark Kastelitz. So Mark, who has been really impressive so far this season, the Slovenian driver, will get behind the wheel of that Porsche. The team getting to work here, getting those tyres changed. So the backs are done first, then they go to the front. There's Tim Zimmerman, poised and ready to go. So far, everybody who's come in, I think, have taken longs, haven't they? So we've had 5 cars that either have or are pitting. So now they wait for the clock to tick down.
The best stop so far has been the one for the other Razoon Porsche, the number 41 car, Berninghausen. 1 minute 40.4 seconds, only 0.4 over the minimum stop time, 0.5 over for Storm Yerdrum's BMW for OK Performance, 0.6 over for the Liqui Moly Exeter team for John Paul Southern. But in now has come Emil Yerdrum, and yesterday's winners coming in. Juliano Holzem about to hand over to Sandro, put the car on pole position yesterday, and swapping around this time. So it's going to be Sandro that has to do this longer middle stint.
So Max Rice will be getting ready to take over from Emil Yerdrum. There are the 2 Razoon More Than Racing cars out on track. Both of them have done their pit stop. The leading stopper at the moment is Tim Zimmerman, but plenty more still to come, with still 6 cars yet to come into the pits. Everybody looking like they've taken a long stop at the moment, but the 2 Razoon cars running together on track. This is for position. At the moment, Mark Kastelitz has Colin Berninghausen behind him, the former Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland driver, the more experienced of the 2. Looks like he's lining up a move on the sister car. In the background there is the number 12 car of Alan Valente and Joseph Ellerine. Valente still at the wheel.
But our first short pit stoppers, Emil Yerdrum hands over to Max Rice. They've gone short. They didn't change the tyres. That's the first team not to do it. They were one of the only 2 teams not to do it yesterday. But the Holzems are changing the tyres on the car this time. So they've gone the opposite strategy to the one that got them the win yesterday. So they're having a long stop. So out has gone the number 1 Mustang. That's going to, after all this settles down, that's going to easily be the leader now, unless somebody else does a short pit stop. But I think it will be, because it was a front-running car anyway, and it's had a short pit stop. And they've, 1 minute 20.7. So a little bit loose there, 0.7 of a second over the minimum pit stop time, but it's safe, and that's the first one to have a short pit stop. So they're going to have a 20-second advantage over everybody else that's pitted so far.
I should think that Colin Berninghausen is on the radio to his team asking for Mark Kastelitz to be moved out of the way. They are sister cars, but of course they're all racing for the championship. Colin Berninghausen looking the quicker of the 2 at the moment, but with both of them having stopped, they are in actual positions on track, not waiting for one or the other to come into the pits. There is the Holzem car getting up to speed after that stop. Sandro at the wheel, the former DTM driver, can now call himself a GT Masters winner as well. Still 6 cars yet to come into the pits, including Simon Conner-Prim, who continues to lead at the front from Finn Zulaf. Out across the line they come, looking to see what the gap is between Prim and Zulaf. I think it's fairly sizable, because I'm still waiting for the clock to update on it. Jamie Day up to 3rd as well, but still to stop. Alan Valente, Ethan Brown, Nicholas Callas now in the leading pit stopper at the moment, Max Rice, in 7th place. But the gap between Prim and Zulaf is 13.4 seconds.
to resume all the racing Porsches together then, weaving this way, then that, to try and find a gap, and almost going into the back of his teammate here is Colin Berninghausen, who's come up in recent years through the BMW M2 Cup, where he was a front runner, and then more recent couple of years in the 6th Porsche Carrera Cup. He used to driving a Porsche in the last couple of years. He's onto the case though. Mark Kastelitz, who's doing a good job of fending him off, nose to tail as they come back out onto the tri-oval banking, then turn left in this very bumpy part of the course now as they come off the tri-oval. There's a big bump here on the exit, and I was speaking to Max Rice this morning. I said, right, how close do you get to these walls? Do you get closest to the wall when you come out of turn 5 or when you come out of the last turn? And he said both. You get close to both of them. He said, but actually, even though it's slower speed, the one at turn 6 is the trickiest because it's so bumpy there. You hit one of those bumps and it can send the car towards the wall. So that's the one that I have to be careful. But our leader has come in, Simon Conor Prim, with an excellent first stint in the Audi.
Yeah, ask Nicholas Katz about the wall. He'll tell you that it doesn't move. Simon Conor Prim there then into the pits, as mentioned. Finn Zulaf in as well. A minute and 20 seconds left of the window. So Valente, Brown and Callas will have to come in soon as well. So let's have a look. The fuel goes in first, and then don't look like there are any tyres on standby here. So could it be that HCL Racing are going to go for the short stop first? Does look like that to me. So they are going short as well. So interesting strategy coming from the team. The championship leaders in. Doesn't look like they are going to do a tyre change either. So the 63 car, Hessiger and Zulauf, going for the short stop early, going to take the pain later on.
Double stacked, haven't they? They've got 2 of their drivers in. Ethan Brown's coming just behind in the number 19 car as well.
It doesn't look like they've changed either.
He's also not going to have a tyre change, so they're going short stop. So we've already got more going for the short stop than yesterday. I'm not surprised because they saw how it worked yesterday. The Aston's short stop as well, and I reckon the number 2 Mustang's going to do exactly the same. Nicholas Callas is going to hand over to Keanu Blum, and that's going to be a short pit stop as well.
Wow, so very different strategies to yesterday. As we mentioned, all bar 2 went for the long stop first yesterday, but they saw what the podium looked like. So this is going to be very interesting. There'll be a lot of information to take to the next endurance round, which is at the Salzburg Ring in September. So the pit window is closed. Everybody who should pit has or is in the pits at the moment. So we've kind of got 2 races going on now. We've got the race amongst the long stoppers and the race amongst the short stoppers. The next pit window will open in the 55th minute. So when your clock says 25 to go, that is when the next window will open. And that is when this strategy for a lot of the teams is hopefully going to pay off. At the moment, Robin Rogowski with that shorter stop, having taken over from Simon Conor Prim in the number 77 Audi, is the race leader. Felix Hersiger, having taken over from Finn Zulaf, is second. Max Rice, having taken over from Emil Yurtrum, is third.
Yeah, just to finish it off as well, the last to come in was Alan Valente in the FK Performance BMW. He switched from racing a Mustang to racing a BMW. It's 5th different mark of car that he's raced in this championship. He's handed over to the South African Joseph Ellery. They also had a short pit stop. So far more going with a short pit stop option first time around this time. Robin Rogalski has just gone through shot in the Audi, and then through come these 2 absolutely together, second and third. Felix Hersiger, the ex-Ferrari driver, Ferrari Challenge champion last year, now trying to fend off Max Rice. Max pulled off a good move yesterday to get a final podium position from 4th to 3rd. He's going to try and get himself into 2nd place here though. The big beefy Mustang though has to give way to the lower, shorter wheelbase Lamborghini. This is the wall they get so close to when they come out of turn 5. And look in the background, right behind them, is the Aston Martin of Benoit Dutou. So these cars 2nd, 3rd and 4th having a great scrap.
Brilliant stuff, and this is a very intriguing race with everybody running on different strategies here. Max Rice looking fairly impatient, having caught up with Felix Hersiger, having taken that short stop, will want to get past him as quickly as possible if he can. Benoit Dutou in 4th place behind them as well. At the moment, Rogowski has an 11.8 second lead over Felix Hersiger. So long distance out in front, will want to extend that as much as possible with that longer stop still to come. Looking back briefly from the perspective of Felix Hersiger, looking back at Max Rice. That's your 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Baudouin Detu in 4th, Tim Zimmermann in 5th place. So Zimmermann will be the leading long stopper. Tim Zimmermann, the leading car who has taken the long stop. So they'll have the 20-second shorter pit stop next time around.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Rice just dropping back a little bit through the start of this lap, but it is only a little bit to that Lamborghini, the championship leaders, who, as you say, haven't finished out of the top 4 so far this season. There's a battle going on. Joseph Ellery with a pair of Porsches for company as they go over the line. Brakes, look how slow it is into that first corner. Oh, and he loses that back end, goes on the grass, gets a wobble on, and loses 1, 2 places. Both Porsches come through. First Castellitz, then Boninghausen, so they go up to 7th and 8th. He drops from 7th down to 9th place. Yeah, I was about to say, it's one of the slowest corners, turn 1, but you approach it at such high speed, at 255 kilometres an hour. You have to take that curb on the inside. It just dropped downhill a little bit there as well, and settles the car. The back end went light, and very easy to lose it there, as you can see. Just thumped over the curb. That unsettled the car, didn't it, the rear end? He did well to rescue it, Joseph Ellery, but just that little moment on the grass, lost the momentum, had to take his foot off the throttle, and the Porsches did not hesitate to come through.
Yeah, Joseph just finding his feet in GT3. We've seen him for a couple of years in ADAC GT for Germany, so stepping up to the big league for 2026. There's debris rising up into the air as the 2 Razzoon More Than racing cars come round the corner. I think it's just a bit of paper, actually, but actually, if that gets into a radiator grille, can cause overheating problems. But Joseph Ellery, with a new co-driver, with Alain Valente, having stepped across from the HRT Mustang last time out, now sharing the seat of that BMW. Jan Duran not available this weekend, and Joseph Ellery now coming under attack from the incoming Storm Yerdrum in 10th place, make that 9th as he moves his way past Joseph Ellery. Ellery, though, fighting back, isn't he? The young 16-year-old Storm Yerdrum gets the job done. It was BMW versus BMW. Advantage Yerdrum in this particular battle. There's another BMW behind, and that is yesterday's winner, Sandro Holzem, now monstering the back of the Joseph Ellery BMW.
Yeah, it's a good move from Mark Kastelitz as well, just in front of them into the same corner, diving at the last moment down the inside of Tim Hooter's Lamborghini. Then this incident that you talked about, the 2 BMWs going side by side, but that was really good on the brakes, wasn't it, from Kastelitz? Could have made the grass very easily there, but he made the corner instead. And Boninghausen even was tempted into a look at the inside. Now, this is a replay of the pit stop for the FK Performance BMW. They were looking at the front right corner. Was there a worry about damage to the car? And was that mechanic back behind the line in time as well?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's been flagged on the messaging screen, so I don't think there was any rules broken. I think the mechanics are allowed to be around the car as long as there's only 2 of them at a time until it's time to pull away. But maybe there was a bit of damage to the number 10 car. Right, here comes the number 14, Mark Kastelitz, in 6th place at the moment. Colin Berdinghausen there as well, also Tim Hooter. But remember, we've got long and short stoppers mixed in with each other. Rogowski leads the way from Felix Herziger, Max Rice and Baudouin Detu, but all of them have taken their short stops. So all of them have got a 20-second longer pit stop than Tim Zimmermann, who is in 5th place. And he is 21 seconds back from the race leader, so very much in contention for when this race gets into its closing stages. Yeah,
because his next pit stop should be 20 seconds shorter than their pit stops, which would put him to within 2 seconds of that Audi, wouldn't it? So absolutely, they're in the mix once again, Tim Zimmermann and Leighton Fury, already race winners this year. They want the championship title. They were runners-up last year, so there's only one place to go from there. And also these young drivers, and it's a very young field this year in the GT Masters. Very much the age dynamic of the drivers has changed over the last few years. Part of the road to DTM, which is to take the ADAC and run the championship, to take drivers up from karting to GT4 to GT3 racing with the GT Masters Championship, and then to progress ultimately to DTM. Finn Wiebelhaus, the prime example of that, won this championship last year. and he's gone into the DTM, and he's just finished, before this race happened, on the podium in the DTM at the age of just 19 years of age, getting his first podium, and the first ever podium for the HRT Ford Racing Mustang. And this year, as we get a replay of the FK Performance BMW, Sandro Olsen picking up a lovely move on the Lamborghini of Tim Otter to gain a place as well. Tim's dropped back a few places now. That's Sandro up to 9th place at the moment, because they get points for qualifying and the race. Obviously, if you're with a teammate and they're in the road to DTM as well for the young drivers, they're going to score the same as you score, but they each do one qualifying session each, and that's where really the title is won. You get 10 points for qualifying on pole in your session, 9 for second, 8 for third, down to a point for 10th. And at the moment, Finn Zulav is the leader of the road to DTM. By my math, he's got 118 points, an 11-point lead over Leighton Fury, who's second on 107. And Sandro Olsen up to 3rd place now after the win yesterday on 94 points.
And the other thing about the road to DTM is you can earn points, you can also lose points. So you can have points deducted if you pick up a penalty, a grid drop, or black and white flags. Any issues, you will get points taken off your road to DTM. So those points, once they're on the board, are not cemented in place. So it's really good because it forces the drivers to think the bigger picture and to think discipline. And the winner of the road to DTM gets funding for potentially a DTM seat next season. This is the one they all want to win. They all want to be the GT Master champion. They join an incredible roll of honour that features some of the greatest names in GT3 racing, but they also want that funding to get into DTM. So drivers are competing with their co-drivers. How close to the wall are these cars getting? I stepped back then myself, and I'm nowhere near there.
Yeah, Tom Callender won the GT Masters the year before. He's also gone on to race, of course, in DTM, and he's starting to get some really strong results now as well. He had a 5th at the end of last year at Hockenheim. He's had a 4th this year already at the Red Bull Ring. Here's a replay. Lamborghini versus BMW. Is he going to get through? Yes, is the answer. Is he going to stay ahead? Because I did see one Lambo going onto the grass. No, he did. He did pull it off, John Paul Southern, who at times yesterday, pretty racy, wasn't he? We had a downpour before the start of the race yesterday, and we didn't get to see who was on what tyres, but apparently John Paul Southern was, I think, on a wet tyre. But he was driving some real confident moves at the start of that race yesterday. And also, when he came back out of the pits yesterday, the American, for the 3rd and final stint of the race, he pulled off some, I mean, he's a lap down, but he was battling with the leaders for a couple of laps, really, wasn't he? So I think he's starting to find his feet now, this championship.
Yeah, he's a really useful peddler, is John Paul Southern. He comes a long way from the USA. We've seen him on and off over the years in ADAC GT for Germany, and now stepping up to the League of Super Sports Cars and certainly finding his feet there. Robin Rogowski, he's another newcomer to GT Masters. He's never actually finished on the podium. 4th place is the best he has ever earned in GT Masters. Of course, his co-driver, Simon Conner-Prim, a one-time winner. But if Rogowski can keep things as they are now when he hands it over to Simon Conner-Prim in with a really good shout of not only earning his first ever podium, but possibly even his first ever win. But we've got a long way to go yet still. Another 44.5 minutes, plus 1 lap, plus another pit stop and driver change.
Bud wanted two rather. He's doing a good job in 4th place. He's not as quick as those ahead. He's losing a bit of time to Tim Zimmerman behind, but Tim's way more experienced in GT3 cars than Bud wanted to, the French driver, who's come from GT4 racing in his first season of these more powerful GT3 cars, with greater aero, greater horsepower in the cars. And he had a bit of a tough time of it right at the end of the race yesterday. He lost a few places, a couple of moments, but overall I think it was his most competitive performance yet in only his 3rd weekend of the championship, and he's doing a solid job here. He's running in 4th place. Jamie Day will get back into the car for the final stint, and we know he's a quick driver. The Brit has already qualified on the front row of the grid in that Aston Martin at the Red Bull Ring. So yeah, it's good to see some of these newcomers to GT3 making good steps forward. At the moment, Rogalski 6.6 seconds clear of Herzinger. Rice still right with him though, 0.4 of a second behind in the #1 Mustang. Let's do 2 in 4th in the Aston. Zimmerman though in 5th place is only 15.6 seconds behind the race leader, and his pit stop by all accounts should be 20 seconds shorter next time around because he's got the long pit stop done.
So if they were to pit here and now and everything was perfect, Zimmerman would come out in the lead. I've been watching that gap come down for the last couple of laps. So 15.6 is the gap between first and our leading long stopper, Tim Zimmermann. Mark Kastelitz in 6th place is also a long stopper, still very much in the hunt, as well as Colin Berninghausen in 7th, another of the long stoppers. So this is all going to come alive when the next pit window opens. At the moment, Robin Rogowski needs to make as much hay as while the sun shines as possible, but on that last lap, Tim Zimmermann took another second out of the lead pack, so Zimmermann is on a charge.
Yeah, so if all the pit stops go according to plan, Zimmermann is going to end up leading this race. As it stands, the Audi, which will be Simon Connor Prim, that will come out behind it, but just in front of, by probably about 5 or 6 seconds at the moment, in front of the number 14 Razzoon Porsche, currently driven by Mark Kastelitz, which has also got a short pit stop to come. And then not far behind with the other Porsche as well. Those two Porsches have been pretty evenly matched, haven't they? So it is looking good here for Tim Zimmermann and Leighton Fury. And Zimmermann, yeah, driving very well. We saw yesterday, didn't we, with this long middle stint, it is about consistency, managing the tyres, not making any mistakes. Emil Yerdrum did a great job of that yesterday in the Mustang. That's why he and Max Rice ended up getting a podium, and Max drove very well at the end as well and did a good overtake. But the hard yards here really are being done by Tim Zimmermann, aren't they? He's got the car with its kind of least favourable in terms of the tyres and the tyre wear. And if he can close that gap, he's going to give Leighton Fury a real chance of getting their second victory of the season.
Yeah, I mean, this is the endurance part of the race, really. You've got what is a very short sprint in towards the first stop and a fairly short sprint after the second stop. But 16 minutes still to go before we head towards the next pit window. So the driver that's in the seat now could potentially be in the seat for another 26 minutes because that window is 10 minutes long. So you can see a code there for those who are following. The 2 blue markers mean that the long stop's completed. The 1 yellow marker means that the short stop is completed. I'm pleased their notes tie in with ours. So you can see there that Tim Zimmermann is the leading long stopper. Mark Kastelitz, Colin Berninghausen, Storm Yerdrum, Sandro Holzem, John Paul Southern all have world class, almost a joker in their back pocket. Rogowski, Hersiger, Max Rice, Baudouin Detu, also Tim Hooter, Joseph Ellering, Kiana Bloom are all going to have to make up ground when they come in for their long stop. Keanu Bloom in 13th place, looking fairly subdued in the grand scale of things there, and I'm wondering whether the Ford Mustang took more of a beating than perhaps we realised when it hit the wall yesterday. Bloom working hard to try and catch up with Joseph Ellering, but down in 13th place, not really on the pace at the moment. He's 1.2 seconds back from 12th place Joseph Ellering.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some issue, isn't there, with that car, because Keanu has been flying this year, hasn't he? He's got the car, I mean, almost won the first race of the championship at the Red Bull Ring, bar for one corner, and Keanu has generally been really impressive to watch and really quick and pulling off good overtakes as well, but he's struggling in that car at the moment in last place. This is the maroon HRT Mustang number 2, which currently runs in 13th place. The quickest driver on the track last time around was Mark Kastelitz in the number 14 Razzoon Porsche, currently running in 6th place. He's now, bearing in mind there were nose to tail when they came out of the pits, he's now 2.5 seconds clear of Colin Berninghausen, but he's a long way back on the Tim Zimmermann car, which is 12 seconds up the road. So Rogalski leading in the Audi, 4.5 seconds clear of Hersinger in the Lamborghini, number 63, number 1 Rice in 3rd in the Mustang, the Aston of Detu, number 39 in 4th, but being caught by Zimmermann, he's the first of those that have got the long stop done, so he's in the box seat really. He's now only 12.2 seconds off the race lead.
Right now, Keanu Bloom has caught Joseph Ellering, so sweeping around the outside in the Mustang. So Bloom clearly with the bit between his teeth moves up into 12th place. Next up the road will be Tim Hooter in the number 19 Liquimoli Team Exler Lamborghini Huracan. There he is, just disappearing out the bottom of your picture, so you can see what the gap is, about 2.665 if you want numbers against that. So still in the points, but as you say, not really what he had in mind when he arrived here today. This is the view on board of that Mustang. as it growls past. I said to Emil Yertram this morning, I said, does it sound as good on the inside as it does from the outside? He's like, yeah, better. The whole car vibrates, and these Mustangs around the tri-oval here at the Lausitzring, very NASCAR reminiscent. There's a Marshall tipping his hat to some great racing here in the ADAC GT Masters. Race 6 of a 12-race season, the second of 4 endurance races here. The endurance format in its 3rd year and proving to be very popular. Great training ground for these young drivers as well. Robin Rogowski, we saw him last year in the Prototype Cup Germany, so this is a very different discipline for him. He's leading Felix Hersiger by 4.5 seconds. At least he was last time around. We're going to see what that gap is now, that lead. But look at Max Rice there, looking very hungry in 3rd place. Will be mindful he's got a long stop yet to come when he hands the car back to Emil Yertram.
Yeah, he's doing a good job though, isn't he? Absolutely hanging on here to Felix Hersiger in his 3rd season of the championship. In terms of GT Masters is Max Rice, and this is the 1st season he's actually got to drive the same car in the same championship for more than 1 year, although he's got a new teammate, but they've already proven a successful pairing. Right, this is the Tim Uta Lamborghini, looking like he's got a problem and looking pit bound, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's
been going backwards a little bit, hadn't it? And yeah, his last lap was a 1:24.9. Yeah, so it lost a couple of seconds somewhere. So I'm afraid, looks like an issue developing. Liqui Moly Team Enxler currently 2nd in the championship in terms of the team's championship behind FK Performance. Keeping an eye as well on the 2nd best place long pit stop, i.e. the 2nd place car that's already got the long pit stop out of the way, and that's the Porsche of Mark Kastelitz, who is now only 23.1 seconds behind the race leader Rogalski. So he's, you know, that team's going to be within 2 or 3 seconds of that Audi once this next round of pit stops happen. Maybe even get ahead of it, because the rate at which he's catching, pretty impressive. Rogalski's last lap time was a 1:23.1. Kastelitz, he's in the low 1:22s at the moment, so he's about a second a lap quicker. I think he's going to get within 20 seconds as well. And Zimmerman has got ahead of the Aston as well, as you'll see from the replay here. And they're on a different strategy and just driving through. Zimmerman, very experienced, up to 4th place overall now, and just 10.2 seconds off the race lead.
So things remain as they are now. Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Furry very much in the box seats for a race win, but still plenty of racing to come. We've still got 35 minutes plus 1 lap of racing remaining. We see Felix Hersiger in that 2nd place, yet to take the long stop. Max Rice in 3rd place. I would just point out, if you want to catch up with details about Max Rice and what he's up to, download the app. MR28, I believe it's called. Max Rice 28, that was his old racing number. It's an app that you can download for free, gives you all the information, background information about Max, a really good insight into the life of a racing driver. Well worth the time and effort to do that. I believe that Max has developed that himself, so not just a talented racing driver. At the moment, would want to get past Felix Hersiger. Not only is Hersiger a main championship rival, but if he can get some air in front of him, would potentially open up a bit more of a gap for the preparation for the long stop. The sad sight there of the number 19 Liqui Moly by Team Enxler car being pushed back into the garage, the one that was driven by Tim Hooter and Ethan Brown. The sister car, the championship leader, Felix Hersiger, still with a Mustang glued to his back bumper.
Yeah, and this circuit, because you got a bit of everything, you got 3 corners that are less than 90 kilometers an hour, including the first corner. You got obviously the high-speed stuff when you're coming out onto the tri-oval, like turns 12 and turn 5. Big long start-finish straight where you get to 255 kilometers an hour. So it's a circuit that suits cars that are good in terms of top-end speed. It also, on other parts of the circuit, is better for cars that are good in slower turns and have better traction coming out of corners and are perhaps more nimble through the turns. So overall, and with the way they've very cleverly worked out the balance of performance to equalise all these different types of cars, which some have turbo power, some are normally aspirated, they're all different weights, they'll have different size engines, different amount of horsepower, different aerodynamic features, and they change the weights of the cars with adding on balance performance weight, or they change things like the ride heights of the car, or they can tweak the boost, or they can change the amount of airflow that comes into the normally aspirated cars. And what you get, Brian, is these totally different types of GT3 cars, all extremely evenly matched. As I said, qualifying this morning, it was so tight. Yeah, most of the field within 9/10 of a second of each other.
It's phenomenal, the BOP is, and you look across at DTM, which is identical cars, and you've got 8 different manufacturers, and we had the entire field covered by 9/10 of a second on Friday. So the BOP really works, and it allows us to see all these different manufacturers, a different budget of car as well, because I'd say that the Lamborghini Huracan, the Ford Mustang, kind of appealing to a different market out on the road, but they're able to race each other wheel to wheel. The mighty BMW there as well, and the BOP is a brilliant initiative, always controversial. I've never heard a driver say, do you know what, the BOP works in our favour today. They all say, oh, the BOP is against us, but hey, you've got to find some reason to explain performance, haven't you? But they do a great job. It's very carefully reviewed, and if you think the BOP is worked out on the back of a fag packet, you're very much mistaken. I've looked at the formulae they use to work out the BOP, and I certainly don't understand it. It's a mega complicated process, but it works.
It's kind of a thankless task, isn't it? Because you can never please everybody all the time. It's impossible. But what you have to say, I mean, you look at the race yesterday, some fantastic racing. We've got at the moment an Audi leading, a Lamborghini second, a Ford in third, a BMW fourth, an Aston Martin fifth, and a Porsche in sixth. So 6 different brands in the top 6 places. It works. It's not always to everyone's favour. You're always going to get grumblings, but overall, they do a good job. The most wins for a brand in this championship: Audi 52 wins, Porsche 47. Mercedes 43, 41 for Lamborghini. The old Huracan has been a trusty steed, hasn't it? And it's still going well because it's been replaced, or starting to be replaced in GT3 racing, and certainly in the DTM with the new Temerario. But that Huracan is still a very, very competitive car, and the older Audi R8. And it's the first time for a long time, if not ever, that we haven't had a Mercedes in the field, isn't it, this year?
Yes, we were commenting on that. I don't think we've ever had a year without Mercedes in ADAC GT Masters. That is quite unusual. For those who thought we'd seen the last of the Audi, well, Robin Rogowski and Simon Conner-Prim have got something to say about that, haven't they? Because there is certainly life in the old dog yet. It's been interesting to look at the new Nuvolari Audi that has been released and talk about that becoming a GT3, but that's something for the future. That would be spectacular, wouldn't it? At the moment, we're looking at the old R8. It leads the way. Felix Hersiger, 2.708. Now, Tim Zimmerman in 4th place is just 7.841 seconds away from Robin Rogowski. And to remind you, Rogowski, Hersiger, Rice are all got to take a 20-second longer pit stop when we come in for the next pit stop when the window opens. So Zimmerman at the moment is looking set in 5 minutes and 10 seconds to potentially be a long way in front, but it does involve them making sure that there are no mistakes in the pit stops, nobody goes below minimum times, because that can really ruin your afternoon. Baudouin Detu in there as well, one of the short stoppers, but you can see Mark Kastelitz, Colin Berdinghausen, Storm Yerdrum, Sandra Holzam, John Paul Southern, all with shorter pit stops when they come in. They're going to have to do that within the next 14 minutes, and well, 14 and a half minutes coming up to, because it's a 10-minute window that opens in 4.5 minutes as we look at the number 2 car, Keanu Blum, in 11th place at the moment. Whatever problems he's got, he's handling it. Up ahead of him will be John Paul Southern, but Keanu Blum didn't get the extra time in the car yesterday because of that impact with the wall about there in the hands of Nicholas Callas. Believed to be because of an issue with that traction control, but the team have clearly worked hard on the car, but you do wonder if all is not well in the number 2 HRT Mustang. One of the things we did discover talking to the HRT garage this morning is that there are not a lot of these Mustangs available for racing around the world. I think Emil Yerdrum had said about 20 available worldwide, which I wasn't aware of.
No, I think there's 25 originally, but 5 have had crashes and dropped out. So yeah, only 20 running. It's a shame because it's a glorious looking car, and as you said, sounding car as well. The Mustang, it has got a big old fan base with the crowds as well. You see a lot of people here at the racetracks with Ford merchandise going around in the grandstands and around the back of the paddock here as well. Now, Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury get a win here today, and it's looking increasingly likely that'll be 4 consecutive podium finishes. They didn't get on the podium at Red Bull Ring. They struggled with the BMW round there with a 10th and a 4th, but they got a win in race 1 at Zandvoort, second in race 2 at Zandvoort, second yesterday here at Lausitzring. If they get a win here, that's 4 on the bounce. There's a chance they get the championship lead, depending on where Herziger and Zulav finish. And they'll have already matched their podium rate from the whole of last year. So 2 wins and 2 seconds in the whole of the 2025 season, which was good enough for the runner-ups one of the championship. So after being a bit grumpy after Red Bull Ring, it's all turned around very nicely for that pair in the last 2 weekends, hasn't it?
It can turn around very quick. Right, look at this. This is Robin Rogowski, still to do the long stop. Here he comes, out past the pits. Now, if we keep this shot here, you'll see the orange and black BMW about now. There he is, into turn 1. That is the Zimmermann car, and he will be taking a shorter pit stop by 20 seconds than those 3 cars in front of him. So visually, you can see how much of an advantage Tim Zimmermann will have when he hands over to Leighton Fury for the final stage of this race, if all goes well. Of course, that's a big if, as we look at Sandro Holzem, yesterday's winner with all that extra success ballast on board in 9th place. Another one who's taken the long stop already, so we'll move up the field somewhat when the pit window is done and dusted, and that will be happening in 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Yeah, so Baudouin did 2 in the Aston Martin. Also has a short pit stop. He's in 5th. So the next to the long pit stop is Mark Kastelitz, who's only 18.3 seconds off the race lead now as well. So that car should also move ahead of the Audi. It's about whether the Audi can hang on for a podium. We got the very rapid Simon Conor-Prum. We know he's a quick driver to come back in for the 3rd and final stint. But it is looking increasingly likely that we're going to have, once that second pit stop phase is done, a BMW in the lead, which will be Leighton Fury when he gets back in for the number 11 car. And the number 14 Porsche, which will be Pavel Leftrov, getting into 2nd place. Just over a minute now before that final pit window opens. We've got 26 minutes of time remaining on the clock, plus 1 lap at the end of the race. And I've been really impressed with Tim Zimmermann's metronomic consistency. You look at his lap times, he's doing low 1 minute 22s, lap after lap after lap. They've all been within about 2.5, 3/10 of a second of each other between the 122.1s and the 122.4s, and he's just been relentlessly chipping away at that gap, hasn't he, to get it down to now 4.7 seconds is all he's got behind the leader, and he's going to get 20 seconds on him on the pit stop.
It is the 74th race for Tim Zimmermann in the ADAC GT Masters, so he is by far the most experienced driver in the field. But of course, we've seen him over the years in TCR Germany, Formula 4 Germany, ADAC Formula Masters back in 2014. We've seen him in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland as well, so a really experienced driver, and we've seen him in GT Masters for quite a few years as well. So Tim Zimmermann, he's already a 5 times winner in GT Masters, and looking to make it 6 along with Leighton Fury, but they've got to get through this next phase. The pit window is now open, so this is where the strategies that the teams have been working on are all going to start to pay out. So you can see, once again, to remind you, 2 blue markers alongside the name means a long stop completed. 1 yellow marker means short stop completed. That means those with the yellow markers are going to have to take the longer stop. The first one of them is Baudouin Detu. So in he comes. He will have to take a tyre change as well as refueling. So the team will get to work. They've got to make sure that the refueler is clear of the car before they can start on the tyres. Now here come the crew. You saw Baudouin hurling the seat insert out of the way. Jamie Day, who is of a different build, will jump behind the wheel of that car and will bring it home for the last sector of the race. But that longer pit stop is going to feel quite painful when many around are going to be taking short stops.
Yeah, doing a good job here, though. The Aston Martin pairing, new pairing for the year, both in their first season of the ADAC GT Masters Championship, first season in the championship for the Come To You Racing squad as well, who are into their 2nd season of DTM, the Belgian squad run by Francois Verbist. The team started life and are still involved heavily in Fun Cup endurance racing, slightly slower cars, but incredibly entertaining as well. They're still involved in that, and they got their first DTM podium earlier today at the hands of a 2nd place finish with Nicky Tim.
Right, well, Robin Rogowski into the pits, Felix Hessiger into the pits, Max Rice into the pits. These are all the drivers that did the short stop first, coming in nice and early, so they will now have to take the pain of the long stop. At the moment, Tim Zimmerman leads the way. He will have to come in for that short stop, as will Colin Berninghausen, currently in second place, as will Storm Yerdrum, currently in third, Sandra Holzem, Jean-Paul Southern, all short stoppers to come. That occupies your top 5 at the moment. Finn Zulauf will take over the car from Felix Hersiger. They're having those tyre changes now. Of course, they're taking the long stop, but the advantage they've got is potentially a lot fresher rubber, so they may have more pace and more grit for the closing stages of this race. So just because a car has a big gap at the moment doesn't mean it's all done and dusted. The strategy coming into play here with tyres as well as pit length, and that was a very solid shutting of the door by Mark Castellitz. I think they looked maybe a little bit frustrated as Pavel Lefterov gets behind the wheel of the number 14 car. There was an issue there, or whether he was just eager to get out into the garage and cool down.
Just making sure it was shut, I think. Definitely shut. I'll just be keeping an eye on the battle on track as well with Sandro Olsen. Remember, he's carrying 20 kilograms of ballast on that car after the win in the BMW yesterday. He's been monstered by John-Paul Southern at the moment, the American in the Lamborghini, so having a great ding-dong on track. Look at this, though. Nose to tail as they come out onto the track. Simon Conor Prim just ahead in the Audi, but he's being monstered here as well by the championship leader, Finn Zulauf, who's all over him like a rash as they get themselves back up to speed, back into the cars for their second stint in the race. And right behind them, of course, is that number 1 Mustang on track, which is still Max Rice at the moment. A lap between them. It costs you more than a lap to get either the short or the long pit stop done here, because it is, it's not a short lap in terms of distance, but it's a quick lap here. So 3.5 kilometres, just under, but it takes them about 1 minute and 21 seconds to get a lap in around here. So you do a pit stop, even if it's short, it costs you a lap on the track.
Zimmerman into the pits, handing over to Leighton Furry. At the moment, that's the number 77 car up at turn 8, the long-time race leader. So if all goes well, Furry should be out of the pits and back up to speed long before this pack arrives. They're currently up towards turn 10 and 11 at the moment. Then they'll be into turn 12, into the tri-oval, onto the pit straight. At the moment, Leighton Furry is already moving. He's already back out on track. So the strategy working well for the number 11 FK Performance Motorsport BMW. Here comes the long-time race leader, the number 77 car in the background, the Mustang. Pushing hard, working hard to try and find a route past the Lamborghini, finally making it stick. So that was great driving there from Emil Yerdrum, who takes the wheel of that car.
Good move. There's a couple of good moves in that Mustang, haven't we, today?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Different engine note to that Mustang, isn't it, as you hear from the pit wall camera there as it comes past, coming out of turn 5. Fantastic sound to that V8. So at the moment, Colin Berninghausen that leads on a track, but yet to make the second pit stop. Same too for the number 10 Storm Yerdrum car. Got a bit twitchy under braking there, that Lamborghini, didn't it? And yeah, again, sending it around the outside in that number 1 Mustang. You got to be pretty confident to do that, because it's further around the corner, it's longer distance to travel, you are closer to disaster because you're right on the edge of the grass and even onto the grass. And if there's any kind of contact, just physics mean that if you're on the outside, you're the one that's going to come off worst. There's no greater feeling, let me tell you, as a racing driver, than going around the outside of somebody. You properly feel bold and brave for doing that.
Right, bad news for Alan Valente or Joseph Ellerin, one or both, for speeding in the pit lane. They're under investigation at the moment, so it's not a dead cert, but there may well be a penalty incoming. This battle continues to rage on. Simon Conor Prim in the Audi, Emil Yerdrum just behind. The leading stopper at the moment, Leighton Furry over Pavel Lefterov. Now in comes Storm Yerdrum. Sandro Holzem also into the pit, so it's Colin Berninghausen who takes the lead of the race. Meanwhile, Alan Valente will get a penalty lap for speeding in the pit lane, which is an absolute tragedy for them in that 12th place. At the moment, just 2 cars yet to come in. Colin Berninghausen, Keanu Blum up to 2nd place. For Blum, though, he is going to have to take a long stop as well, so that is going to really sting. But at the moment, Colin Berninghausen has just under 3.5 minutes to decide when to come into the pits. We're looking currently at the battle for 7th place, but that could potentially be for 3rd place when all is done and dusted.
Storm Erdrum has come into the pits as well to hand back over to Fabio Rauer, and as you can see, the Holzem twins are going to switch around as well, so Giuliano will get back in for Sandro to take that race-winning car back to the flag at the end of the race. It's just get what you can out of this, really. It's difficult to get another win, get another podium when you got that success ballast on board. As the nature of the championship, they're released. The Schubert BMW heads back down the pits. Out goes the Fabio Rauer FK Performance orange and blue BMW, and it was a good pit stop, 1 minute 20.3, so that's only 0.3 of a second over the minimum pit stop time. And the Holzems and Schubert were very good yesterday, and they're really good today, only 0.2 of a second over. So once again, excellent stuff from Schubert in the pits. But look at this, nose to tail and almost into the wall.
Berninghausen is into the pits as this fight rages on. Simon Conner-Prim versus Emil Erdrum for 5th place at the moment, but it will be more than that. My heart always races when I see the race control messages, and this time it's bad news for car number 10, because Fabio Rauer has been speeding in the pits and is going to have to visit the penalty box. That'll add about 5 seconds onto his lap time. At the moment, Leo Pickler is taking over from Colin Berninghausen. It hands the lead to Keanu Blum, who will hand back over to Nicholas Callas in the next minute and 3/4. So that lead will be short-lived. This could potentially be for a podium position. At the moment, our leading stopper is Leighton Furry in 2nd overall.
I think this is the battle for the final podium once it all settles down, and Emil Erdrum wants another one. Got the taste for it yesterday, so it's been too long between podiums, and I'd love to get on the podium again. No reason why not. He's going to show his nose. Not quite close enough. Simon Conner-Prim doing a great job. The car's totally different. The short wheelbase Audi, a lot lower slung, a lot narrower that car, nimble through the corners. That big Mustang, a bit more of a, you have to be a bit smoother, the driving style on that, absolutely. And Emil has driven an Audi R8. He's driven a Lamborghini Huracan last year, so you have to be smoother with the Ford Mustang. It's not what you think, is it? You think a big brute Mustang, American muscle car, you got to throw that around, but you haven't. You got to be smooth with it. You got to feed the power in. And he said this morning, I was perhaps a little bit too gentle with it in qualifying, but you've also got to look after the tyres and think about the long game. The other Mustang has come into the pits, and that's going to have its tyre change now. And right at the end of that pit window, because we're into the final 30 seconds of the pit window now.
Yeah, Keanu Blum didn't want to give that up, did he? There's Nicholas Callas, seat insert in hand, getting ready to jump in behind the wheel. And with that long stop, they've got plenty of time to think about it and to get themselves strapped in. Unfortunately, they're going to come out of the pits quite a long way back. The lead is already in the hands of Leighton Furry in the BMW. Now all the hard work done and dusted. Pavel Lefterov, Leo Pickler will jump up to 2nd and 3rd. The two Razzoon More Than Racing Porsches feel like they've been fighting each other for the majority of the race. Emil Erdrum fighting as well with Simon Conner-Prim. So with everything settling down, the pit window closed, make sure that door is closed properly. Keanu Blum will go back. His work is done and dusted for the day. There is our race leader, Leighton Furry. And I imagine when they do finally stop the clock, when they come round next time, it's going to be a fairly sizable gap between the two of them. I think it was about 13, 14 seconds last time they came over the line. So the gap between 1st and 2nd is likely to be fairly sizable. Pleased to say, it doesn't look like we're going to need the wet weather tyres today. There's some dark clouds around. We're predicting some fairly large monsoons later on today, but I think we should be able to get this race done and dusted in the dry. Famous last words.
Yeah, it's really muggy, really humid today, isn't it? And yeah, you get this warm air coming into the cockpit as well. No air conditioning for most of them. Although Leighton Furry said we have or at least on Friday, opted to put the air conditioning on. Takes a few brake horsepower away, 3 or 4 brake horsepower. But if you're cooler, you stay more focused. You don't get overheated as a driver. And so the argument is, you know, lose a few horsepower, but don't make any mistakes as a driver because you stay a bit fresher. And either way, it's going to be hard work. These are big, heavy cars to wrestle around in humid, hot conditions. You only get warm air coming in through the vents. When you're behind another race car, that warm air is even hotter. So these drivers will be feeling it, especially, I think, those that did the middle stint, that really long middle stint. The BMW has gone through. It's 13.7 seconds clear of the Porsche. So number 11, Leighton Fury, with a big lead over number 14, Pavel Lefterov. Then the second resumed Porsche, number 41, Leo Pickler, is only just behind his teammate, 1.1 seconds behind, 14.8 seconds away from the race lead. Then it's what is now the battle for fourth. Simon Conor-Prim in the Audi, Emil Yerdrum in the Mustang, and Finn Zulav, 6th place in the Lamborghini. This is going to be their worst result of the season. 6th place. They haven't been out of the top 4 yet.
Yeah, this is going to turn the championship on its head a little bit, isn't it? And that is definitely advantage. Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman. The next round is going to be at the Nürburgring. That's in a few weeks' time, part of the Truck Grand Prix in July. And I don't know how that will favour, who that will favour. Lamborghini is normally quite strong around the Nürburgring, so it may all yet swing in the other direction again. But at the moment, we've got 12.5 minutes remaining of this, the 6th race of a 12-race season. We're at the halfway point of the season when the checkered flag falls in a little over 12.5 minutes time. It's the second of 4 endurance races this year. The rest of the races have been the 60-minute sprint races, providing entertainment all the way in the ADAC GT Masters. Word on the street is that at the Nürburgring we may well have a number of guest drivers. Let's have a look at the points here. I know Chris is working them out as I speak. Leighton Fury, Tim Zimmerman, according to this, will be 6 points clear of Felix Herzog and Finn Zulav. You get the thumbs up. Everybody agrees. Pavel Lefterov, Mark Castellitz, and by no means out of the running. Neither the Holzem, so 31 and 36 respectively behind the race leaders, or the points leaders. Of course, we've still got to survive the next 11.5 minutes. We've got to make sure the tyres stay up, the car holds together. There are no problems or mistakes from the drivers. Every time they come out of turn 5, it's a cliffhanger as they get close to that concrete wall that doesn't move. There we go, that's out of turn 12. Also, just brushing up nice and close on the tri-oval. But at the moment, Leighton Fury looking pretty comfortable out in front. Then Pavel Lefterov. At the moment, we're seeing what the gap was. It was 13.2 seconds last time. So let's have a look, see what that gap is now as he comes out across the line. So 13.2 last time. There's a long old wait, 12.6. So Pavel Lefterov is closing in on the race leader. Then Simon Conor-Prim, Leo Pickler, and Emil Yerdrum hasn't given up on the idea of a podium here, has he?
No, absolutely flying. He's going to get the gap on the curbs, finds his nose in front, gets out of the Porsche, which he sent out wide, and loses another place because through comes Finn Zulav, back up into the top 5. You lose 1 place, you lose 2 because you can't get back on the racing line. But that's been coming for a while, hasn't it? Emil Yerdrum trying this, that, and the other. But now, for once, he's got to defend because he's got Finn Zulav behind him. They run 4th and 5th. You're on board the 5th place car. Finn Zulav is not only going to lose the overall championship lead as it stands, he's also about to potentially lose the lead of the road to DTM because Leighton Fury is on course for 25 points. Finn Zulav at the moment 11, and that would mean by 3 points, by my maths, Leighton Fury will move into the lead of the road to DTM. As you said, the winner of that at the end of the season gets the chance to get some funding towards a big step up into DTM, and we've already had a couple of notable South African stars in the DTM in the last few years, haven't we, with Sheldon and Kelvin van der Linde.
Emil Yerdrum senses another trophy here. He can see Simon Conor-Prim, the pole-sitting Audi, up ahead of him. What is the gap? So when they cross the line of Simon Conor-Prim in 3rd place, 2.1 seconds. I can keep one eye on that because Emil Yerdrum has not given up on the idea of finishing on the podium in this race. 2.1 seconds. Meanwhile, Simon Conor-Prim is not a million miles back from Pavel Lefterov, 1.295 to be precise. So it feels like 2nd, 3rd and 4th could all be together in the closing stages of this race. At the moment, Leighton Fury is going to need some kind of problem to lose that big gap of 12.3 seconds. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing and holding it all together for the next 9 minutes or so to take another win. But everything up in the air behind. The blue and white Porsche has Pavel Lefterov at the wheel. The silver and red Audi with Simon Conner-Prim. Then there is Emil Yerdrum in the background. I can see some very black clouds in the background as well.
Simon Conner-Prim, I don't think he's absolutely focused on Emil Yerdrum catching him. I think he's focused on catching the Porsche ahead of him because he's flying at the moment in that Audi. We could have a real grandstand finish here because Lefterov in second place. His last lap was a 122.6, a 121.7 for Simon Conner-Prim. Best part of a second quicker, and you can see this battle for second. The Audi absolutely flying after the Porsche. Emil Yerdrum was desperate to get free of the other Porsche, wasn't he? Now that he's done that, he's bringing the Lamborghini with him, and they're coming after them as well. It's going to be potentially a four-way squabble for second place. There'll be four of them battling for the final two spots on the podium here, with 8 minutes and a lap to go in this race. But by the end of this lap, I reckon, Brian, Simon Conner-Prim is going to be all over Pavel Lefterov.
Oh, this is exciting, isn't it? 7 minutes, 50 seconds plus the 1 lap. There you see second, third, fourth, fifth, all running together. Sixth in the background as well, in case any of them have any issues as well. Fighting for the final 2 steps on the podium. Leighton Fury nice and clear at the front, just under 12 seconds clear of this fight. But suddenly Pavel Lefterov is going to have a problem in the shape of a silver Audi. Is that rain in the distance going to hold off at the moment? Simon Conner-Prim looks to the inside of Pavel Lefterov, just showing himself at the moment. They're up towards turn 9 and 10. Is he going to make a challenge? He's going to try and get as close as possible into turn 11 and 12. If he can get a good exit out of turn 12, you can see how much tighter he's able to go round that corner. He'll take it out close to the wall, but now out along the pits they will come. Are we going to see a challenge for that position? Here they come out of 12, the 2 cars glued together. Past the pits they come, in towards turn 1. Lefterov turns to the righter of. On the inside of him, Simon Conner-Prim just shows his nose. In the background, Emil Yerdrum not close enough to get involved yet, but closing in. The gap now down by another second. So Yerdrum has closed in by a second on this battle that you're witnessing here.
Yeah, Yerdrum has just done that car's fastest lap of the race, a 121.680. So, and the previous lap, all 3 of them were quicker than Lefterov, who's having to go defensive now. And the longer this battle goes on, the better for Emil Yerdrum and the better for Finn Zulauf. They're getting right into the picture now, aren't they, in the Mustang and the Hurricane respectively. Lefterov, though, is an experienced, a quick driver. You can see Emil Yerdrum kicking up the dust in the background. He's throwing the kitchen sink at this, flashing the headlights, here I come. That's all the incentive that Simon Conner-Prim needs, because he knows that if he doesn't get the job done on Pavel Lefterov's Porsche pretty soon, then he's going to get sucked into this battle with the Mustang and the Lamborghini, which he was already battling with, remember, after the pit stops. He got away from them, and now he's trying to get away from the Porsche. As you say, nimble that Audi up the inside. He finds a gap, and they're going to be absolutely neck and neck as they come out of turn 12. The Porsche's still got his nose in front, but on the inside line here, as they come absolutely wing mirror to wing mirror, is Simon Conner-Prim in the Audi. They're going to be dead level as go with the start-finish line. Left-hander coming up. Watch for Yerdrum as well in the Mustang. Down the inside he goes, and ahead into second place. But Yerdrum is now right with them. The Audi ahead of the Porsche. The Mustang and the Lambo joined the fun as well.
Oh, Yerdrum attempted a bit of a dive bomb there, but didn't quite have enough distance, or little enough distance, to the Porsche in front. But what a challenge from Emil Yerdrum to try and get that place as well. So Simon Conner-Prim in the Audi, clear of the Porsche at the moment. So Pavel Lefterov in the last of the podium positions, but can Emil Yerdrum or Finn Zulauf take the last of the trophies? Third place is what they're fighting for. It looks as though Simon Conner-Prim has that second place fairly well tied up at the moment. Just coming up to 4.5 minutes remaining. We look again here. It was an absolute drag race in towards turn 1. Emil Yerdrum didn't know who to follow. Eventually he went to the inside into turn 1. Everybody braking late. Look at how quickly the Mustang was closing on the 2 cars in front of him.
Superb. This is a grandstand battle, isn't it? And how close did these two get over the start-finish line? The point which I thought they were going to hit each other as they came out of turn 12. Yerdrum trying to pounce, knowing that they were concentrating on each other. He thought he might steal a position as well, and he came very close to doing it. He's been mighty, hasn't he, Emil, into that first corner. He's pulled off 2 great moves around the outside of people. He went for the inside line that time, but he wasn't quite close enough. But he's not going to settle for 4th place. He's going to have to be careful about this, though, because if he tries a move, Brian, he's going to have to pull it off. If he backs off that throttle, he'll lose a place himself to Finn Zulauf in the Lamborghini.
And we know how good Finn Zulauf is, of course, a former ADAC GT4 Germany champion. He knows how to get around this track. He knows how to maneuver through the traffic. Emil Yerdrum, once again, doesn't know whether to go left or right at this point. He goes to the inside of Pavel Lefterov. Lefterov having the momentum around the corner at this moment. Into turn 7 they come. Up ahead of them, 2nd place, Simon Conoprim has broken clear. So this is your battle, 3rd, 4th, 5th for the last of the podium positions. When they get out onto that straight, Pavel Lefterov able to open up the gap, then under braking into the corners, Emil Yerdrum able to eat up that distance between the 2 cars. At the moment, advantage Lefterov, but he's got to hold on for another 3 minutes plus 1 lap at the front. Leighton Fury leads by 12.7 seconds over Simon Conoprim. It could be even more as they've just crossed the line now. Out of turn 12 comes the battle for 3rd place. Out onto the pit straight they will con. Simon Conoprim now 11.8 seconds back from the leaders. Now Emil Yerdrum ducks to the inside, then back to the outside, tries to sell the dummy into turn 1, trying now to go the long way around the outside. The grunt of the Mustang, a wheel onto the dirt, but then the nose in front. Emil Yerdrum up into 3rd place, but can he hold it? Yes, he can, but now Pavel Lefterov trying to come back, but Finn Zulauf rushing to join this battle. Out of turn 5, they will come out towards the wall. Emil Yerdrum's got the job done into a podium position for himself and Max Rice. Suddenly, Pavel Lefterov left with Finn Zulauf now filling his mirrors.
Absolutely brilliant move for Emil Yerdrum. Look at this. He dummies left. He cuts across to the right. Pavel Lefterov doesn't know where to defend, and then he's trying around the outside for the 3rd time today. It doesn't quite work there, but he stays around the outside for the left-hander. And then, even then, Lefterov was fighting back because he knew if he backed off, he'd lose another place to the Lamborghini. It was great driving. They gave each other just enough room. How close, but I don't think any contact between them. And brilliant, bold move from Emil Yerdrum to get the job done. As I say, you're 4th. There's no way you're going to settle for not being on the podium when you're in that position. Has he now got time to catch back up to the Audis? The next question. The Leo Pickler Porsche, meanwhile, running out wide, and that I suspect has put the Aston Martin of Jamie Day up into the top 6. So Jamie Day and Bedwonder 2 on course for their best result of the season, their first top 6 finish of the year.
It certainly has, as Finn Zulauf again has a look on Pavel Lefterov. Lefterov is feeling decidedly bullied this afternoon in that Porsche. He's holding on to the 4th place at the moment. Was running in 3rd. Now Leighton Fury leads. Simon Conoprim in 2nd. Emil Yerdrum in 3rd. That's your 1, 2, 3 with less than a minute on the clock. A race leader up at turn 7 at the moment, so very little time left in this race. The fight for 4th place now rages on. Every point counts here in the Masters, GT Masters season. Every last point can count at the end of the season. You can see how hard Pavel Lefterov is pushing as the dirt once again rises up into the air. Finn Zulauf will be mindful of the fact that his championship rivals are leading the race, but he cannot afford a non-finish. He cannot afford to break the steering or put it in the wall or get it into the gravel trap. He needs the points to bring this home. 15, make that 10 seconds remaining of this race. I think that Fury's going to cross the line before the clock strikes 0, so 2 laps remaining of race 6 for the ADAC GT Masters.
That's the last thing Pavel Lefterov wanted to hear, isn't it? 2 more laps of this. No thanks. He's going to have to work his socks off. He's driven really well though, hasn't he? To defend as long as he could from the Mustang of Emil Yerdrum. But now he's got Finn Zulauf coming after him. Zulauf would like, if he possibly can, to keep his run of top 4 finishes going, because 5th at the moment would be, and it's not a bad result, but it would be his worst result and Felix Hersinger's worst result of the season so far. The main thing, though, is that it gives you another 2 championship points. It's 13 points for a 4th place. It's 11 points if you finish in 5th at the moment. As it stands, they are going to lose the championship lead. Tim Zimmermann and Leighton Fury will be 5 points ahead of them, but it would only be 3 points if you can get the job done on this Porsche.
So he knows that, and he's got a lot of work to do in very little time. You can see him just once again kicking up the dust. He's throwing everything he's got at Pavel Lefterov for that 4th place. Darts to the inside, then back to the outside. Lefterov, an extremely experienced pilot. He's driven prototypes, he's driven GT4, he's driving GT3, and he's using all that experience to hold off Finn Zulauf in that 5th place. One more lap coming up of this Lausitzring circuit. About 3.5 kilometers remaining. Can Pavel Lefterov hold on to that position from Finn Zulauf? The graphics showing Zulauf briefly in front there. Here comes Leighton Fury, Simon Conner-Prim, then Emil Yerdrum, Pavel Lefterov. Zulauf was registered in front just briefly in that 4th place, but Lefterov was able to get back. Jamie Day in that 6th place. At the moment, up into turn 6 comes Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmermann. It's looking like they just need to bring it home now. Simon Conner-Prim, along with Robin Rogowski in the 77 car in that 2nd place. Emil Yerdrum, Max Rice, done a great job through the pit sequence in 3rd. You're 1, 2, 3, but 4th place is far from decided. We look now down towards turn 8. Here comes Leighton Fury, the South African. Would have seen his fellow South African Keegan Masters on the top step of the podium in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland today. Are we going to hear the South African national anthem? Well, we won't, because it's a German team, but it will be a South African who could potentially stand on the top of the podium. That potential is becoming reality, because out of turn 12 now comes Leighton Fury, along with Tim Zimmermann, taking a win in the ADAC GT Masters 2026, their 2nd win of the season. Simon Conner-Prim, Robin Rogowski. It'll be a first ever podium for Robin Rogowski in 2nd place. Then across the line, having worked hard from it, a 2nd podium of the weekend for Emil Yerdrum and Max Rice. And how did Pavel Lefterov, along with Mark Kastelitz, hold off the championship leaders Finn Zulauf and Felix Hersinger? They did that. So, relieving the number 63 car of those valuable points. And then in 6th place, Jamie Day, along with Bedouin Detu, getting valuable points as well in the Aston Martin.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done, Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmermann. 2nd win of the season, their 4th win as a pairing. And they've already, as I said, equalled the number of wins and seconds that they got in last year's run to 2nd place in the championship. And they are now going to be the championship leaders, 5 points clear of Felix Hersinger and Finn Zulauf, who finished in 5th place. Tremendous drive by both Zimmermann and Fury. Solid, solid weekend. 1st and a 2nd at Zandvoort, 1st and a 2nd at the Lausitzring. Just what they needed after a tough start to the year at the Red Bull Ring. Simon Conner-Prim, though, was flying at the end of that race.
Yeah.
He got the gap down to 5.5 seconds in the end. He was quickest driver on track by some distance. Emil Yerdrum and Max Rice delighted to get 2 podiums out of 2 this weekend.
So there's your classification for race 2. Zimmermann and Fury, Rogowski and Prim, Rice and Yerdrum. Those are the 6 drivers that will be standing on the podium. I think Kastelitz, I think Pavel Lefterov, I feel like he's earned that 4th place. Felix Hersinger, Finn Zulauf, they will be disappointed with 5th place. Bedouin Detu, Jamie Day in 6th. Colin Berdinghausen, Leo Pickler, a bit of an off weekend by their standards in 7th. Storm Yerdrum and Fabio Rauer ahead of the Holzem twins. And then Jonas Karklees and John Paul Southern. Another pairing who've had a disappointing weekend, Keanu Blum and Nicholas Callisil, will want to have a long think and debrief after this weekend before we head to the Nürburgring for the Truck Grand Prix and the next sprint race, which will be in about 3 weeks' time. A nice slow-mo there of the Haupt Racing Team Mustang with Emil Yerdrum at the wheel, sharing those driving duties with Max Rice, and another podium finish. 3rd place trophy once again for the number 1 Mustang, and the best finishing Mustang in this race. Simon Conoprim, along with Robin Rogowski, will be in that second place, proving that the Audi R8 is as competitive as ever in GT3 racing. But who can live with Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmermann added to their second place from yesterday, their second and their first from Zandvoort? It's another massive haul of points for FK Performance Motorsport with Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmermann at the wheel.
Yeah, and FK will be able to extend their lead in the Teams Championship as well over Liqui Team Engstler. Leighton Fury then out of his trusted steed, the BMW, his second season there in GT3. There is Tim Zimmermann, his teammate. A great pairing this, and into the championship lead, last year's championship runners-up. Well done as well to Jamie Day and Bedwander 2, 6th place. They've had a couple of 8s so far, but that's their best finish so far. And a really good weekend for Come To You Racing with their podium in DTM as well. So Leighton Fury receives the applause and the hugs of family, his dad there, and the team will congratulate him. Lots of respect between all the drivers out there as well. He's a cool customer, is Leighton. Whatever championship he races in, he tends to end up being a champion in. That's been his trajectory, and he's a real rising star since he first came into European racing. Made his debut at the end of a season in the BMW M2 Cup at Hockenheim. Got on the podium in his first ever race in the car, first ever race weekend in the cars at Hockenheim, and he thought, yeah, this guy's going to be good. He ended up winning the BMW M2 Cup the next year in his first full season. Then competitive in GT4, and ultra competitive now as a GT3 driver.
There is Max Rice, his dad, Ralph Rice, there was just congratulating Emil Yerdrum and the Yerdrum family as well. There's Emil Yerdrum's dad in the background and his brother with his hat. I love it, the brothers. That's his mum there with the white T-shirt on and the white hat. I love the fact that the brothers are always rushed to greet each other whenever one of them finishes on the podium. Leighton Fury, I mentioned to him some time ago that he's won every championship he's ever started in. He decided that was a bit of a curse, and he said, "Don't mention that again." It's a tall order, but he certainly put himself in the right position there. As we see Emil Yerdrum, he looks fairly knackered, doesn't he? Along with Max Rice, who have had to work hard. I have to tell you, it's starting to cloud over. It is so muggy and humid. These drivers have been in a sauna. Robin Rogowski will get to stand on the podium for the first time as a GT Masters driver. Simon Conoprim, a one-time winner, but what a great drive from them in what many consider to be a fairly aging car. But hey, it's just as quick as the rest.
Classic, that R8, isn't it? It's a really, really great car. One of the real great GT3 cars over the years. So yeah, well done to Simon Conoprim and Robin Rogowski. They've both done a superb job today. Started with that pole position this morning. Leighton Fury had got pole for most of that qualifying session this morning. It was only right at the end that Simon Conoprim just snuck ahead of him by 0.5 of a second. Overtaker of the day, though, for me, Emil Yerdrum. He pulled off 3 absolute blinding moves, didn't he, at turn 1?
Absolutely brilliant, yeah, and faultless, I would say. He and Max Rice did not put a wheel wrong. Neither did these two. Leighton Fury on the left, Tim Zimmermann on the right. And they very much now in the box seats for the championship, taking the lead in that championship. There's Emil hugging Leighton Fury and Max Rice there as well. They're just getting ready to head up towards the podium. But some very tired-looking drivers. There's Storm Yerdrum with the hat on there as well. And it's really good to see all the drivers congratulating each other, kind of like a big family in the GT Masters pits, and we love that, don't we?
Yeah, Ollie Fritz just in the background there behind Manuel Reuter, HRT. Ollie Fritz, so experienced, used to be the head of the Mercedes DTM program back in the Class 1 days, now running HRT and doing a fantastic job with the Ford Mustang in this and the DTM, because the Mustang was the dominant car last year, wasn't it, in GT Masters. Manuel Reuter with all his experience as well, former runner-up in DTM, multiple race winner. There you can see the black hair, the HRT T-shirt, talking to Max Rice. He's a real good mentor to have for these young drivers, isn't he, Manuel?
So much experience and wisdom. Right, well, this will be the 3rd time that we've seen Emil Yerdrum on the podium in ADAC GT Masters, and it will be the 6th time that we've seen Max Rice on the podium for the ADAC GT Masters. Of course, we saw them there yesterday as well. Simon Conoprim, this will be his 4th visit to the podium. And a first ever visit to the podium for Robin Rogowski in ADAC GT Masters. And on to the second step they will go. But now FK Motorsport have prepared the car, and for Leighton Furry, it's going to be a 4th ever win for Tim Zimmerman, a 6th ever win in the ADAC GT Masters, launching themselves to the top of the championship standings. And FK Performance, who have prepared a rocket ship of a car for these two drivers. Oh, Leighton doesn't look like he's had a workout, does he? He's looking fairly chilled and calm and collected. And now a representative from FK Performance Motorsport will join them on the grid. So Lucas from FK Performance Motorsport will receive a trophy on behalf of the team, and they work incredibly hard, FK do. They've been wonderful supporters of everything ADAC for a number of years now. So before all of that, not the South African national anthem as I had originally predicted. Oh, we're going to get the Road to DTM on as well. How many years have I been doing this? Right, Road to DTM winner Leighton Furry. Tim Zimmerman's far too old for that championship now. Right, okay, now we're getting ready for the German national anthem. Great stuff. So FK Performance Motorsport, the German national anthem for them. And now the trophies are prepared. So Sascha Leopold, a regular visitor actually to the podium, who is presenting the winners' trophies. And then the second place trophies, Richard Batter from ADAC Berlin-Brandenburg as well. Always great to come here and to visit this area. And those second place trophies being presented. And an influencer, Patrice Aminati. I'd like to pretend I know who she is. I'm afraid I don't, but doing a great job presenting the trophies, and hopefully if she can repost some of this, that'll be some great publicity for GT Masters as well. Always looking to extend our audience. And then once again, the trophy to the team, FK Performance Motorsport. They've got a fair few of those. And they'll be getting ready for the next round. It'll be part 2 of the season that will commence in, by my calculations, about 3 weeks from now on the 10th of July at the Nürburgring. We're going to be part of the Truck Grand Prix, exposing GT Masters to a massive audience, most of whom will have never seen GT3 racing before. They are about to be educated. It's a couple of sprint races this year at the Nürburgring, and it will be part 2 of the season. A season that is absolutely coming alive because the championship lead has changed hands. Leighton Furry and Tim Zimmerman move to the top, but you know Felix Hersiger and Finn Zulaf will be out for revenge at the Nürburgring for round 4. Race is 7 and 8 of the season. It's going to be an absolute thriller. At the moment, though, the celebrations here at the Lausitzring, some well-welcomed champagne Cold showers will be waiting as well in this hot and sticky environment, but what great racing we've seen. The first 2 endurance races of the season, the first 2 of 4 endurance races for the ADAC GT Masters. Be sure to join us for part 2 of the season for the ADAC GT Masters 2026. From myself, Brian Oliver, and Chris Hartley, we'll see you at the Nürburgring. Pulling out right in front and really good close racing. Wonderful stuff.